You got to be on your best behavior now, Lewis. All that stuff you were talking about before, you got to stop. I see some bits coming in. Oh, yeah, there they are. Boom! And we're live. All right, Lewis, I know what you're going to ask me, and I got it right here for you.
Brother, can you spare a tweet?
Can you spare a tweet? I got a juicy one for you here. And normally...
Full fat.
Normally, these are kind of like skim milk tweets, but this one is nice and meaty. It's going to bring them in, Lewis. I got check marks in it. I got stories. I got all sorts of good stuff in here. So here you go. I actually had to edit it so that we could fit all this stuff in. So there you go. Enjoy that tweet there, Lewis. You got it?
Shit.
What? It's out.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, great. All right. Well, we're going to wait for people to shuffle in here in a second. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about, everyone. We got a very special guest joining us. Adam Duff from Lucid Pixel is here as well, and we're going to be talking to him about Mac Studio and Apple Studio Display. And the interesting thing about Adam is that he has a completely different perspective than guys like us often do, Lewis. Because we just look at the specs, we talk about things from a spec perspective, right? And I feel like guys like Adam are the people that Apple's actually making hardware for. Like, they're not making it for us. They're making it for him. He's a digital artist, and he actually uses their products the way I think Apple expects people to use their products and not just reading the specs page.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Like, when I watched your video, I was like, these are the people that Apple's creating products for. Shout out to Jeff Druin. He says, sup peeps. Shout out to Level Remix. If you guys want to shout out, hop into the chat. We're going to be starting here in mere moments. In fact, you want to just kick it off now, Lewis? I think maybe we should, because we got so much content here. I don't even see how we're going to make it through all of it. So let me cue up Mrs. You Know Who, and we will get this thing rolling. Oh, Mrs. D. Oh, Mrs. D, you're in a chipper mode. Oh, yes, I had a very special date with one Mr. L. Caney. Oh, you guys got together, huh? Oh, yes, and it was very seductive. Oh, God, gross. Gal, their relationship is just going from level to level. You know, Lewis? Like, he's getting together with her after work now. And he said he didn't even really like her very much, but that clearly wasn't true. All right, Mrs. D.
Dumpster diving dates.
Never mind. I was gonna make a joke. I'm not gonna do it. Yes, it was probably a dumpster diving date. They went dumpsters dive together. All right, let's go ahead and get this show going, Mrs. D, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So we'll get the music going here in 3, 2. Hello and welcome to the CultCast, the best 30+ minute Apple conversation you're gonna hear all week long. I'm your host, Air Fit Elijah. Join me today with Leander out on break. He's the big dog at the office now. He's taken to wearing full body biking spandex suits. Looks good in them too. So right here. Sleeping at his desk for 3 to 4 hours a day. That sounds familiar. And he's working on his muttering and mumbling. You're getting pretty good at it. I heard he even brought a stargazy pie to lunch the other day. That's delicious. He's the managing editor of CultMac. Lewis Wallace is here.
Yeah, that spandex bike suit thing, that is misinformation.
I heard that thing was itchy. How does that feel, Lewis?
Never put one on in my life.
Yeah?
Never will.
I don't believe that. And as I mentioned in the pre-show here, we've also got a very special guest. We have Adam Duff, digital artist. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Adam has a really popular YouTube channel called Lucid Pixel, Pixul. I'll link to it in the show notes and stuff too. And I'm excited to have Adam on today. I was reaching out to him and I was like, I would love to have you come on because he did a video where he talked about the Apple Studio Display. And for those of you who listen regularly, you know that I was kind of lukewarm on the Studio Display. And I had major buyer remorse after I got it because I was like, this thing is just too expensive. It doesn't do enough stuff. And then I watched Adam's video, which I'll link to in the show notes. And his opinion on it actually really swayed me. And I was telling him before we officially started, I actually feel much better about my purchase now. Like
Mm.
it really is a unique product, and even though it's not built for everyone, for the people that that need something like it, there's just nothing else out there like that. So I don't want to get ahead of myself here. We'll talk about all that here in a second, and we can also talk about some of the other products that you have talked about on your channel that
Sure.
I ended up purchasing because you talked me into buying some stuff.
I'm pretty honored that I actually can manipulate the masses. This is
You know why? You know why? You just have, as an artist, you just have a much different perspective than
Mm.
I think tech people do. And
Mm.
I'm a huge lover of art, and I don't even know how I stumbled onto your channel. I'm sure it was like the YouTube algorithm, right? And I'm a huge Breath of the Wild fan. So that was my introduction into your channel, is you reviewing that Breath of the Wild book. And your love for art and the way you articulate art, I just really love. And then I started watching your other content. I was like, oh, this guy reviews tech too, but in a way that is more like an artist than myself, who talks about the specs and like what the processor is. Like you talk about stuff differently. So it's going to be interesting to hear your thoughts on the Mac Studio and the Apple Studio Display. And we're also going to be talking about iPhone 14 because we have some new rumors. We know the sizes, we know the prices, and my
Oh,
friends,
really? Okay. I'm curious. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think you're going to be very happy to hear some of this stuff. So
Oh,
we're
really?
going to do
Okay.
we're going to do a rundown of everything that we know. So at the end of this, you'll know what we know, which isn't a lot, but it is substantial, or significant, I should say. So we'll do that, and we're going to wrap up with a conversation on the state of streaming services. I've been using Paramount Plus, and Lewis, I forgot to ask you, have you tried Paramount Plus yet?
Oh, I had one of those free 1-week trials or something back when Picard came out.
Okay.
Binged that, canceled it.
Okay.
I'm that person.
I'm a huge Star Trek fan, and I haven't been able to force myself to watch Picard because I feel like it's going to ruin it for me, because I've heard not great things about that show. Adam, have you watched any of the Star Trek stuff on that exists out there, like the Picard show or Discovery or anything like that?
I haven't seen the Picard show. No.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
No.
me either. That might be the right move. Let's see here. Before we dive in, let me give a very hearty thank you to Squarespace for supporting this episode. Oh, you know what I did? Lewis? I forgot to. I knew I was going to forget something. I forgot to add the browser. Head on over to squarespace.com/cultcast. Squarespace.com/cultcast. If you need a website, you've been procrastinating, and you haven't taken action, and yet you need a website. You have a business. You maybe are going to be graduating from college, and you need a way to promote your skill set, and you need a web presence, and you haven't done anything. But let me encourage you to check out squarespace.com/cultcast. I always tell people I have several Squarespace sites, and I really like them because they're easy to build. You can have a website up really quickly, or you can dive in and customize literally everything in your Squarespace site, and everything is drag and drop. So you don't need to know how to code. You can customize fonts. You can add galleries. You can add your social media. You can build a membership-only website, so people have to pay to be a part of your community. You can actually do what Adam does, which is set up a website where people can book your time and pay you for your time, so you can teach them a skill set that you have. I wish I had skill sets to sell, but I have nothing. So I just create a normal website. Actually, that's not true. I have the Cult Cloth, a magnificent product. Don't you agree, Lewis? There's just nothing out there like that.
Unparalleled.
Unparalleled is the word I was looking for. Thank you. And I built cultcloth.co on the Squarespace platform, and it's just, it just runs itself. I don't ever have to touch it, which I'm a former developer. I can tell you, when you have a website, it's a huge pain to build it, run it, manage it, and Squarespace does all that stuff for you. And they make your website look great on any device that visits, which is kind of like their special sauce. So if you're ready to build a blog or a website for your business, or just promote yourself to potential employers, head on over to squarespace.com/cultcast, squarespace.com/cultcast, and get started with a free trial. Build a website, see how you like it, and at the end of your trial, if you like what you have, you can save 10% off your first purchase with code CultCast at checkout. And if you do a year of service, you'll get an additional discount. It's a really great deal. That's what I did. And so you'll save even more money with a year subscription and code CultCast at checkout with your first order. All right, let's head on over to Adam. Adam, like
Hi.
I said, great to have you on. You did a
Thank you.
video on Apple Studio Display, and I was thinking that maybe you could just run us through why you bought it, why you love it, because I think inherent in that conversation, you're going to highlight a lot of stuff that I think I didn't really think of when I was looking at the Studio Display, and I think that's because I wasn't looking at why the Studio Display is useful. I was just looking at the spec sheets, and the spec sheets are kind of disappointing for the price.
Yeah. Yeah, they are subjectively, subjectively like, yeah, you can kind of get the equivalent for a ton cheaper.
Yeah.
Now, I personally I've worked with many different types of displays for artists and stuff like that. And the thing that really drew me in was the experiences I had had with many other displays that were really good for certain types of visual production, like photography and stuff like that, or people who are involved in print.
Yep.
But my biggest gripe, and I work on like a $4,500 pen display right over here. Like I
wow.
work with expensive displays and stuff like that all the time. Calibration has always been my rub. It's always been my really big fuss. And every 2 weeks I'm recalibrating because I'm doing fine tuning colors and fine tuned values and things like that, and details as well. And, I'd spend, a couple of weeks working on a painting, and then I go and I look at it on my phone and I go, that's not what I painted.
Mm-hmm.
The values are off. The colors have shifted, warmer, cooler. There's a lot more. Usually the contrast would be the blacks would be too black, and I'd lose a lot of the details in the lower values. So I'd end up having to kind of bluff it by going back into Photoshop or going back into a video production, a video app or whatever, and tweaking it, and then going back and forth and saving it and checking to see if I could get the color sort properly. And however, I loved the colors that I would get on my iPad, for instance, but I hated painting on an iPad. I'm not a big fan of doing artwork on the iPad, but I love the colors. And I always thought to myself, if I could get a display, an Apple display, where I get perfectly matched colors between my iPad, my iPhone, my desktop display and everything like that, or my MacBook or whatever, that would be the ideal situation. But of course, then the Pro Display came out. And I went, a display by Apple. And then the price tag came out and I went, screw this. I flipped my desk and I walked out of the room, and I just got frustrated with that fact. And I went, okay, well, forget it. It's no way I'm going to spend that kind of money on it. And despite it being really pretty and blah, 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 I really didn't feel it was for, maybe like the high end graphic design studios might be able to afford something like that, but it wasn't a consumer product in that regard. So when the studio displays came out, for the price that they did, and people would spit out their coffee when they'd see a price tag that's over $2,000 Canadian, right?
Yep.
I'm based in Canada, so I'm kind of thinking of Canadian prices. And a lot of people would spit their coffee out, and I'm sitting there going, oh, okay, now we're talking. A 5K display, 27 inches, which is the perfect size, especially if you want to use dual displays. 32 is something I always felt was too big for two displays. I would either go with an ultra wide. I prefer an ultra wide, or to go with two 27s. I think that really hits the sweet spot there. It's 5K, cool. That's a bonus. I'm perfectly fine with 4K, but it's the color representation, it's the contrast, the brightness, and being able to work on a painting on my studio display and then take it and look at it on my phone and go, that's exactly what I painted, and have the confidence that when I'm posting my art on YouTube, that people are getting what I intended. Because you'd be surprised how many times I'd post a video on YouTube, and because I didn't double check it on somewhere else, I posted it and I went, I just published a public video where people can barely tell what I painted halfway through it because it was too dark. Because I do a lot of very dark Soulsian type of inspired art, and it was very frustrating for me. So since then, despite having a $4,500+ display here, not including the stand, for all of you people who freak out over the cost of the Pro Display prices or the Studio Display stand prices, I end up working on a cheaper desktop tablet just so I can take advantage of the Studio Display and paint on that. And I'd say the last 3-4 painting videos that I've done 80% of my painting process on my Studio Display, despite having this over here, which I prefer drawing on physically. So that in and of itself was that has made it worth the purchase for me because, one of the displays I tested out was the that I love too, for what it's worth, is the BenQ, the SW321C.
Yeah.
And 32-inch 4K, big matte boxes and everything like that. Very impressive looking thing. And I can't paint on it. It's not good for digital paint. It's great for print, but it sucks for digital painting because my art is digital. What you see is what I see on my screen, right? I'm not handing you a print. I'm presenting you something on my screen. So I want to make sure I'm being faithful to that image, not the printed image. So for the BenQ, as beautiful as it is no good for digital painting. So this one I really feel is, when they called it the studio display, I felt as an artist, they're marketing this to me. This is a product for an artist. And well, I believe in that because I've been working on it since I got it, and I absolutely love working on this thing. It's a blessing.
This is what I mean, Lewis. Like all of this, you hear, he's like, this studio display, it fits into my workflow, and it makes sense for me because the thing that I heard you say that really resonated with me is you need consistency across your displays. You need them to look the same. And as a creator myself, that's important because you want the thing that people see to be the thing that you see on your screen when you're creating it, right? And that's the one thing that I never really considered. And you mentioned in your video that if you wanted to pair a second monitor with your iMac, for instance, like you couldn't really ever get them to match. And so it's not really useful. But with the studio display, every display looks exactly the same. And you know that when you create something on the studio display, it's going to look the same on an iPad. It's going to look the same on an iPhone and on a MacBook Pro. And so you know exactly what your consumer is going to see. And that is the selling point that I really didn't ever consider, because I just considered the price and I looked at the specs and I'm like, it gets 1600 nits brightness. Like, that's cool. But 5K, it's the same as the iMac. It has the same PPI as the iMac. It looks like they literally just pulled the display out of the iMac and raised the price and made it a little bit bigger. And for me, that makes it not worth it. So I felt like I kind of got a raw deal because the value wasn't there. But then hearing you describe it, I'm like, this actually does make a lot of sense if you need consistency. And now
one monitor and dual monitors,
and if you want to do
monitors,
right.
You can't do that with an iMac in an elegant way. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Because you don't have an equivalent Apple monitor to do that with. Yeah, that's to me one of the biggest deals. Next to the calibration is the fact that I can work with more than one screen, for sure.
Yeah, and to your point, there's a lot of great monitors out there, but most of them are 4K, for instance, and then your Mac has to scale the OS to 4K instead of just doubling the resolution to 5K, which is what it does with the 5K studio display monitor. So it really taxes your GPU, and I've heard people say it slows my system way down. So that's not great. And the OS isn't meant for 4K, so your text gets blurry and weird.
It does, yeah.
Right, which is also another thing. And then the brightness isn't there. So like a lot of monitors, like you said, like that really great BenQ monitor, it's meant for print, but a lot of print work, you have to have really low brightness. Am I right? Like 100 or 200 nits even, which is really low.
Yeah, like 200 nits max, and you want 200 nits max, and you want to make sure you're not getting this. You want your contrasts to be very, very. You want a nice flat contrast. You don't want your colors to be too embellished, because if you ever take artwork, you produce artwork, and then you want to print it out, you can waste $50 worth of high quality paper trying to get the bloody print to look good because it comes out and the colors are completely off. So the whole getting, printing proofs and getting the colors to match, and then you do like a spreadsheet with all the different colors you got to work with, and you go, okay, I guess that one's the closest and that one's the closest. So when you have a print display like the BenQ, it's even got a print preview mode on it, which is really, really cool, because then I really get a fairly faithful idea on what that print is going to look like, because I'm probably selling them for what it's worth, if that's the type of business that I do. So I'm looking at it going, okay, I know it's going to print. I make a couple of tweaks. It comes out of the printer. It looks great. And I don't have to reprint anything. And that printing paper is not cheap.
Right.
Especially if you're doing like a big 13 by 19 print or something like that. So in that particular case, it's made for that. And a printer can never keep up with a digital image. It just can't. The contrast ratio, the brightness, the saturation, all that kind of stuff is definitely much stronger on a display, for sure.
I got to say, too, Lewis, you might laugh at me, the 5K studio display, it does look beautiful. I know I was lukewarm on it for a long time, but once you get it, specs aside, I mean, does it not have HDR? Yes, it does not have HDR, which is a bummer. And does it have mini LED backlights? No, it doesn't. That's a major bummer too. But if you just ignore that stuff and you just get it on your desk, even if you didn't even know about those two things, it looks damn good. I mean, it really does look beautiful. And the image, to Adam's point, it looks exactly on the studio display as it does on my iPhone, which when I'm creating, Adam, I have this YouTube channel that has been stagnant for a while, but I'm getting ready to relaunch it. And oh yeah, hot scoop here. I know, Liz, I'm shocked.
This is the hot take over here.
Right. Yeah. Actually, I took a break, and I wasn't planning on taking a break for as long as I did. This is a really long story. I won't get into the whole thing. I started an Amazon business, which was crazy, and anyway, yeah, I'm kind of like closing down the Amazon business because Amazon has been such a nightmare to work with that I'm just kind of like fed up and I'm done. And so I wasn't planning on taking a break from my YouTube channel. Anyway, I'm getting ready to relaunch it, and I was just playing around with Final Cut Pro. And when I had the video on the screen, because I used to edit on a 1440p display, and it didn't look as vibrant, it didn't look as colorful, and it didn't look as sharp. And the 5K display, it like looks exactly like it looks on my iPhone. So now when I produce a video and I'm doing color corrections and stuff, right, which are part of the process, I know that when I release it, the people that are going to see it, especially for our audience, like, I don't think we have any Android people here, and if we do, I usually ban their IP addresses so that they can't download the show. And so I know that we're getting people who are going to be looking at our stuff on an Apple device, and now I know exactly when they're looking at my videos, like they'll see them in their full glory, Lewis, their full beauty.
Confirmational bias right there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're running a 2 studio and a 2 studio display Mac Studio setup, am I right?
Yep.
How's that going for you, and what did it replace?
It replaced originally. Well, to kind of give you a little bit of backstory on this, I'm actually posting a video about it very soon. I'm working on it as we speak. But originally, that studio display setup, that desk was my gaming desk. So it was actually a PC setup. I've only been a Mac guy for around a year and a half at this point. It was the M1 that actually converted me to Macs, because I've loved them in the past, but the Intel chip just didn't do it for me price-wise and performance-wise. But as soon as the M1 came out and I tried out the Mac Mini, I was an immediate convert as far as that goes. And my original display was a BenQ gaming monitor. It was the XR3501, which I loved it. I had for maybe 4 or 5 years or something like that. It's a 1080p monitor, but it was a gaming monitor, so I didn't care, right? The resolution wasn't really a big deal in moving images. And switching to the studio display, it's the first big full-size Mac display that I ever worked with, because I've tried the iMacs, but again, performance didn't compare to an equivalent PC in terms of price and stuff like that. My experience is I've realized I have an addiction to high-res wallpaper that I didn't know I had. I've uncovered I've uncovered this addiction I didn't realize I had. I've been messing around with Unsplash wallpapers and stuff. It's just being able to sit in front of it and consume content and enjoy imagery and artwork. Yeah, if you go on the App Store, it's an app called Unsplash. It's a free app.
Oh, and is it the Mac App Store?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, so it's safe. It's a safe app as far as that goes. Unsplash even has like their own site, but you have to subscribe and pay for it. I just go for the free one as far as that goes. But just as an artist, I have an appreciation for visual imagery, right? That's my son upstairs. He's going to make some noise. But they just came back from school. But it's given me this added appreciation for imagery in general. Like you said, it's such a pleasure just to look at stuff on it. Yeah. It's such a beautiful display. Art aside, it's helping me to indulge in beautiful imagery in a way that I didn't before.
Well,
I love it.
What applications are you using? So I should mention, you are a really talented artist. I mean, I was looking at some of your stuff on your site and just on your YouTube page and stuff, and you kind of have like this. It's like a dark fantasy, I would describe it, artistic style. Yeah. It almost looks like something that belongs in like. Oh god, what's that director's name? I always want to call him Benicio del Toro.
Guillermo
del Toro.
del Toro.
Yeah,
Thank you.
well,
I always
you
wanna
that's the biggest compliment you give me because Guillermo del Toro is one of my top favorite film producers of all time.
Oh, you're kidding.
So,
Oh, that's interesting. Okay,
if
yeah, like
he
your
called me and said I
artwork
got
looks
a
like
job,
creatures. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I would abandon my life and my children and my family. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I would abandon my life to dedicate myself heart and soul to Guillermo's work. I'm such a fan of his stuff. So yeah, that influence is absolutely there for sure.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because I was just looking at one of your videos. Bad art is better than boring art, and
Mm.
I wouldn't call this thing that you're working on here bad at all. It looks like a fantasy creature from a movie, and it looks like something out of a like out of Pan's Labyrinth or something. You know?
Okay,
So-
but listen to what you're saying. Despite the technical aspect of my drawing, what you're reacting to
Mhm.
art-wise
Yeah.
is to the way you feel about the art.
Right.
So you're not sitting there going, "Oh, I love the way that the way that you did this angle over here and that texture over there." No, you're just kind of looking at it going, "It feels like you're nerding out."
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by interesting art.
Mhm.
So that the technical side is secondary; it's a fundamental, but the how you feel about it as an art geek or as somebody who likes dark, cool stuff, that's what I want to tap into as an artist, right?
I mean, I would describe myself as a creative and not an artist. I would love to be an artist, but I just don't. I wasn't born with the talent to draw, and so when I see something like this, I can't evaluate it in any technical way. I can only look at it and tell you how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because there's probably a whole technical level here that you maybe think of when you're looking at a piece of artwork that most people don't. And this is it's interesting because there's a similar parallel with Apple stuff. When we talk about things, we talk about how technical they are, what the specs
Mhm.
are, what the CPU is, what the GPU is, right, the SoC and all this stuff. But most people just look at the phone and they buy it based on how it makes them feel. Probably. You know what I mean?
You just said something so amazingly important. Before I was a Mac guy, I was a PC guy. But I wasn't just a PC guy. Behind my desk over there, collecting dust right now, is a game PC I built a year and a half ago.
Huh.
Lee XL case with a RTX
Oh, that's high
3080
quality then.
and a Ryzen 5600 XPQ-447Z 0.7, like all the specs, 128 gigs of DDR4, blah blah blah, all the RGB Corsair stuff you can ask for. And I paid for specs because when you upgrade at a certain point between an RTX 3080 or a GTX 1070 or whatever number you throw at it, performance-wise, it's negligible. And what I realized is when I got the Mac Mini and I threw the M1 Mac Mini on my desk, which is this little cute little thing, you can pet it, you can throw it over you can burp it.
I haven't tried that yet, but okay.
You should.
Later.
It's quite
I'm gonna do that when we
burping an M1 Mac Mini.
I'm gonna try and burp it.
You got to burp it. And and I put it on my desk and I realized it just, as they say, it just worked.
Yeah.
Specs aside, it just worked. My Photoshop, editing in Final Cut, everything just worked. And I'm sitting there going, okay, well, I forget about the specs. It's a quality piece of machinery that just works. And it's dead silent, and it's cold to the touch after rendering a 4K video for 35 minutes. What's not to love about it? So I realize that all the numbers that people throw at everything, it's marketing jargon. If you can get something that just does the job, then that's what matters, right?
Yeah, which is funny because we'll talk about this in a little while, but there is, in my opinion, a major controversy coming up with the new iPhones in that Apple, according to the rumors, is going to only be including the new A16 SoC, system on a chip, in the iPhone 14 Pros. And the iPhone 14s are going to get the same...
The old chip.
The old chip. And that blew my mind. I was like, who would pay for this? And I thought it was going to be like this big controversy and people would be up in arms about it. But we did a segment on it, and we'll talk more about this here in a minute, and no one cares. No one cares but me. Like, I posted it on the CultMac YouTube channel. No one cares, Lewis. People just, even Lander didn't care. Like, he's like, I just think people are going to buy it because they like the phone and it takes good pictures. And I was like, yeah, but it doesn't have, like, the A16. It's going to have the older this and the other. He didn't care. I don't think that most people care. Most people couldn't even tell you what is inside of an iPhone. Am I right?
No.
Yeah.
That's probably true. And I'll bet you that, the performance is going to be, it's great, right? So, I mean, honestly, like, how much better is each generation of the chip at this point? I mean, better, sure, but I mean, the last one is great still, right?
Yeah.
iPhone 12 still great. You know,
Yeah, and they
not,
still sell it at a discount even. So I still, I mean, I still, it still kind of blows me away that people would pay full price for old technology, because that's just not the way that
they'll have something else new in there. And by the way, I mean, it's one more way that they're actually giving people who want a pro phone a reason to buy a pro phone and pay the extra, right? I mean, that's the thing that's in recent years. It's been like, well, how much better is the pro than the regular one? I mean, yeah, it's got better cameras, but
yeah.
You know, they're just all good phones, and
Well, everyone's gonna be paying more for this round.
great.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way,
Yeah.
I just took a look at some of your artwork there on my crappy old LG monitor and my iPhone,
Gross, you
and
poor
it's
thing.
like it's really striking how different it is. I mean, I know that this
Yeah.
monitor is kind of garbage. I paid like $400 for it. You know, I use it for editing words. That's it. I'm not an artist. I can barely see, but what you're saying about you know the way that being able to know how it's going to look on the iPhone or an iPad or a Mac or anything like that. I mean, that's a pretty amazing little revelation. I never really thought about that. I mean, because I don't create art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only thing I can relate to is like working in the studio. You know, you come up with a rough mix of a song, and then you go and you know, the classic thing is like you take it and you listen to it. Yeah, you know, in the studio, it sounds awesome on these great giant speakers, right? And you take it and you listen to it in your car. You listen to it on a boombox in your home stand, and the audio quality is so different in all these different, or it sounds different in all these different scenarios, right? So, I guess the benefit you have is that the iPhone and the iPad, all the Apple stuff, is like the world's most common canvas, right? I mean, there is no, I mean, really no equivalent, I suppose, for audio, right?
Yeah, you tapped on two things that are so hugely important. Number one, audio, because I've done a lot of audiophile stuff on my channel as well. I love good quality audio and stuff. And it's a very good analogy. I'm glad you brought that up, because number one, why are people kind of like not sure? Why are people lukewarm or not sure what to think about the studio display? Because it's technically not really new technology, right? We're always looking for the newer, bigger, better thing. But here's the thing: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Apple kind of knocked it out of the park years ago with the original Retina displays, didn't they? Right? So all of the Retina displays, other companies have still spent all these years trying to catch up with Apple as far as displays go, haven't they? So why would they change something that they're already leading on? And if you think about the iPhones in that context, I've got the 13 Pro Max sitting right over here, right? It outperforms by around tenfold anything I will ever throw at it at today's day and age. And it's got cameras. I'm not an Instagram guy, so I don't take selfies, right? So for me, it's like I've got access to this great technology and these great features that I don't use all the time, but it's outperforming it. I would be perfectly happy working on the current chip for the next 5 years. I don't see any reason why I need to upgrade. The only reason you'd upgrade is because you're just a geek and you love the newest, coolest stuff. But are you actually taking advantage of that? My iPad, it's a 2019 iPad. Nothing lags on that. I can throw any painting app and I can draw at full speed and there's zero brush lag.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a 2019 iPad. We're not even talking about M1 or M2 at this point, right? Now, when it comes to audio, it's exactly the same thing. What's actually making the beautiful sound? Well, you can attribute 85% of that beautiful listening experience to the artist who made the music. So when you go out and you get yourself a pair of HiFiMan HE1000 SEs, which I own, just like $4,500 headphones, and you plug that into a $3,000 amp, you know, with $1,000 cables from Lavra cables and interconnects from UK that you import that cost you $500.
I feel like he's telling us a story that actually happened to him, Lewis.
Oh no, this is a true story. You
Okay,
can go and check it out. Yeah, I've reviewed all these things on my channel. You know, you sit there, you've thrown crap tons of money at stuff, and then you compare that to a pair of $400 Sundaras that are sitting right there on my desk. The HiFiMan, the HE1000 SEs, I sold them. I sold the amp. I've got the cheapest amp and the cheapest headphones, and between the two, it's a difference of maybe 3%.
Oh, you think it's that small?
Or if I listen to them, this is one of the reasons why I complimented the AirPods or the AirPods Max.
Yeah.
Because from a sound calibration perspective and a sound quality perspective, no, they're not going to hold up next to a pair of over-ear big headphones. But these headphones, these are Bluetooth, and they're 85% of what you get out of a $4,000 pair of headphones. And they're built better.
Yeah, they're
right?
they're probably the most beautiful headphones I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
your bit about that made me almost. I mean, it literally sent me to Amazon seeing if I could find an open box pair because I reviewed them for Cult of Mac when they first came out, but Leander bought them, and so I had to give them to him.
You mean the
so
AirPods Max? Liz?
AirPods Max.
You want to buy mine?
I swear to God, man, I was watching. I was like, God, I would love to get some. And I'm afraid, like, the minute I buy them, they're going to come out with AirPods Max 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might discontinue them like they did the HomePod. They seem to be all about discontinuing their great audio products,
Yeah,
You
I don't
see?
know. I don't know if they're going to discontinue those, but I never thought they were going to discontinue the HomePod either.
Yeah.
So
It just seems like there's a really niche audience for high-end audio equipment from Apple, and they keep trying,
Yeah.
and they keep failing, and most people just want to have AirPods. And
Yeah.
it's funny,
Yep.
what you said, it really resonated with me, and I'm like, I used to be into high-end audio gear too, and I spent all this money. I don't think I got quite as into it as you did. But ultimately, the high-end stuff that I bought ended up selling, or it's just sitting on my shelf over here because it's just not convenient. And
Yeah.
ultimately, I just need something that I can take with me when I go on a walk or if I'm watching a movie or something. Even the AirPods Max, I think, for me, are overkill. Well, I think the AirPods Max, as beautiful as they are, they're fundamentally flawed. Like, their premise is fundamentally flawed. I've said this before. I'm not going to go into it. But they are a pair of hi-fi headphones that connect via Bluetooth. That just does not make sense. Bluetooth is not a high-fidelity audio connection. And so unless you're going to be listening to Apple Music, which uses a codec that the AirPods Max can actually take advantage of, and they sound much better when you use Apple Music. I'm a Spotify user, so that doesn't help me. Other than that, they fall flat in their performance in a lot of ways because you're just not giving them the octane that they need to really run at their best. And so they're a really confusing product. They're beautiful. They have the potential to sound amazing. But then Apple hobbled them by giving them this low-grade audio connection via Bluetooth. And so they can't deliver what they're capable of.
Well, apparently, I think for through the grapevine, they've been talking about, well, you might even have spoken about this on your channel before, that the audiophile community, there's buzzings in the audio community that apparently the Apple's working on a new updated Bluetooth that can actually power lossless audio, because now Apple Music is all lossless, just like Tidal, right? So you're getting this really, really high quality music, but like you said, the AirPods Max are bottlenecking it with standard Bluetooth, but apparently Apple's working on that. So think about how revolutionary that would be, because one of the things that really one of the Achilles heels of high-end audio is you're tethered to something. Yeah. If I want to listen through a nice DAC amp or whatever, I have to find a way of setting it up in a way that doesn't get in the way. So if I'm drawing, I'm not snagging cables. You have to sit there and commit yourself to just listening to audio. And sometimes you want to multitask. So that's why I ended up grabbing Bluetooth headphones and allowing myself to deal with the slightly less as good audio quality. Yeah. But imagine that they address that. Oh boy.
That would be cool. I mean, in fact, so the AirPods Max alluded to the fact that Apple was getting serious about audio, and they released the AirPods Max before they upgraded the music on Apple Music to lossless, right? And then when they released the AirPods Max, I was like, this clearly is a prelude to something. They are going to be doing something with Apple Music to make these more worth their price. And then 3 months later or so, they did. And so it does seem like they're working on something, but as of right now, the AirPod Max have been out for like a year and a half, and they haven't done anything yet. And so my AirPods Max just sit on the shelf. Do you actually find yourself using yours very often?
Oh, daily.
Oh, you do? You use them all the time. And what do
I
you
use them all the time because I have a standing desk.
Yep.
And one of the nice things about switching to Mac is that I don't have tons of cables wiring from my PC. Everything's just powered through one power cable. That's it, right? Because everything's Bluetooth. So Yeah, I'm drawing. I have my Cintiq over here. I just grab my AirPods, I listen to music, and I like that. And if I want to tune out and be a little bit more my little private, music bubble, or listening to some YouTuber or whatever as I'm working, I just noise canceling and I keep drawing. Right. So
Yeah.
it gives me that intimacy that I like when I'm painting, and I'm not worried about having a cable in the way when I'm trying to draw. So yeah, absolutely. I get a lot of use out of them.
We got Streamline in the chat saying, if I took a blindfold test to pick which were Bluetooth and which were wired, he's talking about headphones, wired, lossless, I doubt I'd be able to tell the difference. I think I'd be able to tell the difference, but it would have to be in the right situation, right? Like quiet room, and I'm focused on the music. But that's the thing. Like, how many times are you sitting there doing nothing, listening to music? Like, to me, that doesn't ever happen anymore. I've got 4 kids, man. Like, I'm not getting quiet, and I'm not getting a lot of time to just kick back and listen to a Led Zeppelin album. So for me, the convenience factor at this point in my life rules everything else. And plus, my AirPods 3 are like almost the perfect product for me. They fit so comfortably in my ear. They're not nearly as dorky as the AirPods 2 and 1s with those really long stems. So you don't go full Rudy Giuliani, which I know Lewis likes that look. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I saw a guy. I was at the. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was at the restaurant with my daughter the other day, and I looked over and I said, "Emily, look at this guy. He had these knockoff AirPods.
Yeah.
I swear to God, they were that big. They're sticking out of his head. What the hell is sticking out of there were these big. They looked like a joke. It was this old guy. I didn't know if it was a hearing aid. No, he had this knockoff brand. It was so funny.
He probably got
sorry,
on Amazon. They're like the like the Airpods, like they make them sound as close as they can without getting sued.
Yeah.
There is seriously a pandemic of people who don't know how to wear AirPods properly. It's really unbelievable. I can't tell you how many YouTube people and like news people I see wearing the AirPods, and their stems are sticking out like straight out from their heads, or they're like crooked, and it probably shouldn't bother me as much as it does, but it always just throws me off.
So triggered when I see that.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
I don't know why. Like I want them to be parallel to their face, like running straight down their jaw. And I don't know if you ever saw that picture of Rudy Giuliani. I bring it up on the show all the time, where he was wearing his AirPods, and I don't know how he thought this is the right way to put them. Like, I swear one of the stems was sticking upwards from his head, so he must have been wearing them backwards or something, and like one was pointing the other direction. Anyway, I always use that example because people don't know how to wear AirPods. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I would have been the guy who walked right up to him and said, "Here's your sign." He would have got the "I'm stupid" sign. He earned one for that, for sure. The guy, I get so triggered.
I would have just grabbed him and been like, "Let me fix this for you, buddy," and just it's like bent him down. I'm like, I just feel.
And then he just looks at you and he goes, "Screw you," and he just turns it back up and you just say, "Whatever."
Some people just want to watch the world burn. You know what I mean? They just want the chaos. I have to have mine. Like, even when I'm wearing mine and I can't see myself, I like to just touch them and make sure that they're not sticking out, because they have a tendency to kind of angle outward. So I like to have them pressed in. By the way, holy moly, totally tangent. I saw a sale on AirPods 3. It only lasted an instant, Lewis. I got a pair of AirPods 3 from Costco with tax included for $107 last week.
Wow. AirPods which? 3?
AirPods 3, the newest ones.
You're kidding me, 107?
They were doing some sale with Instacart where you could combine discounts, and Costco would give you $50 off, and then Instacart gave you another $10 or something off. And so not only were they $107, but they delivered them to me for free. So I bought
Guy in
them.
A tuxedo?
No,
install them in your ears?
I don't know if he was wearing a tuxedo, but I did complain to Instacart. They fired him. And they delivered them to my house, and I was like, I don't even need these. I already have a pair of AirPods. But the deal was too good to pass up. So now I have 2 pairs. And I was thinking, should I return one of the pairs? I'm like, no, because I got to get the good deal. It's all about the deal, Lewis, even if you don't need it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, you should go to Best Buy right now and get some AirTags, because they got a 4-pack on sale for $85.
I saw you talking about that in the Slack channel.
For, the next 6 hours.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and just... we got to go, guys. I'm just joking. That's all the CultCast for you guys this week. I'm heading down to Best Buy to get some AirTags. All right, well, look, I could talk about Studio Display and Mac Studio for another hour, but we got a lot of other stories here. So let's do this, Lewis. Do you want to give a quick rundown of the giveaway this week before we move on? And then we'll jump into the iPhone 14 news here, and we'll try to fit in as many other stories as we can before we wrap up. What time is it? Oh my, it's 12:45. See, Adam, I told you we were going to talk about that for at least 30 minutes.
Nothing. This
I
is a
just
drop
knew
in the bucket for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
I'm much wordier than you are, so yeah.
Uh,
As you start, hopefully.
I know how that goes. All right, Lewis, let's talk about the giveaway real fast because we are giving away a very handsome backpack. If I
Yeah,
do say so myself.
Same one we mentioned last week. This giveaway is still going on. It's the Aer Fit Pack 3 backpack. It's made so you can go from work to the gym. It's got a special pouch in the bottom for your stinky old gym shoes. It's got a big place for your clothes. It's got, of course, a place to put your MacBook and other gear in there. Hybrid duffel / backpack. We're giving away 3 of them right now. I think that the list price on these is like $149. My notes are insufficient.
That sounds about right.
But it's a very fine thing. You go to the Cult of Mac homepage, scroll down to the giveaway area, and just get your entries in. Enter early, enter often, and you might have a chance at winning one of 3 Aer Fit Pack 3 backpacks.
You might have a chance. You might have a good chance.
You definitely have a chance. You might have a real fat chance.
Well, fat chance
Wait,
makes
fat
it
chance
sound
is-
like it's like the opposite of a good chance.
Right,
It's like fat
yeah,
chance,
sorry.
but it actually you
I meant
literally
like
mean it. It's
a gigantic chance.
you actually have a fat chance of winning this. We're not just saying
Right.
that to tell you that you don't have a fat chance. Like you might actually win this beautiful backpack, and you can finally have a place to store your stinky gym shoes, and along with your MacBook Pro in the same backpack. That's what we all
Without
move, yeah.
tainting the
that's what we
gear.
all want to do. So all right, well if you I'll post a link in the show notes in the chat, but if you want to just go to cultofmac.com, just scroll down and you'll see the giveaway. It's just like huge as can be. Win an Aer Backpack 3 backpack. Did I say that right? Aer?
Yeah, I don't know. I always thought it was Air. I as I said last week, I hadn't heard of this company before this giveaway.
Very minimalist
Located here in the
backpack,
Bay Area.
though.
AER. Yeah.
Aer. It's kind of like a little similar to my name, don't you think? There might be a lawsuit pending here. We'll talk about it later. Get my high-powered legal team on it. All right, let's talk about iPhone. The one thing I wanted to mention really quick before we move on is delays in manufacturing.
God.
And I'm just going to give a PSA here. If you are wanting to get a Mac Studio, dude, you better order it soon. Adam and I, we got our orders in. I have a Mac Studio as well. And I got mine. It was a little bit delayed, but not too bad. But unfortunately, with all of these supply chain issues, I think they're going to hit Apple hard. I think one of the reasons that they're probably going to put an older chip in the iPhone 14 is probably at least in part due to the fact that they may not be able to manufacture as many chips as they need to put A16 chips in the iPhone 14. And the same thing with the Mac Studio. Like, I was looking at this last night. If you go and try to buy a Mac Studio, you'll be waiting till at least July at this point. And if you customize it in pretty much any way, like if you want more SSD space, if you want the M1 Ultra, you are going to be, oh my gosh, that just jumped up big time. So it did say July 13th. I'm on the Apple Store now. It just jumped up to August 15th, Lewis.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yesterday it was August
That's
3rd when I did
crazy.
this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you're going to be waiting a long time. So if you want a Mac Studio, this is probably going to be the same deal with iPhones. If you don't get in right when they launch them, this is probably going to be the same story because I just think Apple's having a hard time. In fact, they even said this in their financial earnings call, didn't they?
That's
said
what I was going to say.
Yeah, go
$4
ahead
to
and
$8 billion impact next quarter.
Yeah.
4
Holy
to 8
smokes, that's
billion.
crazy.
just because they won't be able to get
With a B.
parts. Yeah, with
With a B. Yeah.
Wow.
So if you're planning on getting a new anything, really, like I think that this probably affects Apple at this point. It seems like more than most other products out there, but everything's delayed right now. But if you're going to want a new Apple Studio display, or actually, I don't know how much the Apple Studio displays are delayed, but the Macs definitely are, because the MacBook Pros are the same story. And this just kind of goes back to the segment that we did last week, Lewis, about Apple refurbished products, because they've been releasing M1 MacBooks and M1 MacBook Pros in the Apple refurbished store. And let me just take a look to see if they have any right now. It's funny. I was telling Lewis, like, I almost don't want to mention this because I kind of want to buy a MacBook Pro. And once I mention this, they're going to sell out of everything. And sure enough, they've got nothing left. Oh, wait a second. They literally have nothing left. Wow.
What about Mac Minis? They got to have Mac Minis, right?
They have Mac Minis. I was just looking at MacBook Pros, and they had a bunch of models like M1 Max models, 16-inch, 14-inch. They don't have a single 14 or 16-inch left. All they have are 13.3 inches because you can get them right away, and they're cheaper. They're like at least 10% cheaper than ordering them from Apple, and they have the same warranty and everything.
You blew it. That was your chance.
I know. It's probably for the best. I really don't need a new MacBook Pro. I just bought the $5,000 I spent on the Mac Studio and the Studio Display. So I probably don't need a MacBook Pro 14-inch, but I kind of want one. But
can I offer you a little bit of a tip?
Sure.
Can I give you a tip?
Always.
I had both Studio Displays and my Mac Studio. Mm-hmm. If you're willing, and I was, Max, you had a video with Max Uria recently, where I always watch his stuff before I buy any Mac stuff, right? Because he's very honest about it, about like what's the best value. If you're willing to buy the base model of something, then just keep an eye out on the Apple Store in the mornings. And what I do is they would be completely sold out for 3 or 4 months or whatever the case might be. And I just keep refreshing. I keep checking in the morning to check availability. Huh. And what they'll do is the store will usually get stocked with the base model. Grab it. And as soon as I grabbed it, the same thing with 2 Studio Displays, same thing with the Mac Studio, same with my M1 Pro MacBook. Okay. I knew I wanted the Pro because again, I've watched Max's videos. They were delivered within 2 hours of purchase.
Oh, wow.
Because it came into stock, boom, they shipped it over right away. And I got it. And I got 2 displays like that in a week.
Is this a refurbished product or is this just
brand new?
Brand new. Oh,
unopened box. You have to peel the thing off. It's brand new. But it's the base models. Yeah. Any kind of customization, forget about what I just said. If you want to upgrade for me, I have the base model Mac Studio, and I just got 4 terabytes of NVMe SSD. I got an external SSD, the Sabrent one, and click it in, and I've got. I mean, who cares? Once you get into 16 gajillion read-write speeds, who's counting at that point? Right?
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
NVMe's are extremely fast, so no, I just click that in, and now I've got 4 terabytes of speed that's almost as good as the Mac Studio.
I just have this compulsion to overbuy that I just can't shake. You know what I mean? Like. Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, that's not the best, and that's what I need to buy because that's the best that Apple has. And I can't shake it. Like, even buying the Studio Display, buying the M1 Ultra Mac Studio, I knew I was overbuying. I watched all the Max Tech videos just like you did, and he was basically saying the M1 Ultra is pointless for like 99.95% of people because even creators making 8K content don't need something this powerful, and Apple's OS doesn't seem to be optimized for the M1 Ultra, and neither are any applications out there.
Still not, yeah.
And I still bought it, and I still couldn't get myself to just go with the M1 Max because there's got to be like a medical phrase for this condition.
Yes, it's called the cult of Mac.
I have severe cultitis.
You live up to the name.
I have to get it. It's like he's got severe cultitis. There's nothing we can do. So I bought it and it's sitting there, and I was just telling Lewis, like, I barely even use it. I end up using my 2-year-old MacBook Pro because it's more convenient and I can use it in my living room. Yep. So once I start making YouTube content again, I think the Mac Studio will get more use. But I digress. Okay, so let's talk about iPhone 14. Let's see here. What time is it? It's oh my gosh, it's almost 1 o'clock, Lewis. This is going to be the longest.
Wind him up and watch him go.
This is the longest
Air
podcast
we've ever done.
Get it right, Lewis. Get it right.
I'll try.
Let's talk about iPhone 14 because we got some leaks. We kind of know what's coming, and apparently I'm the only one that cares about the situation developing here with the iPhone 14. And for some of you may care too. So let's talk about the good, the bad, the ugly iPhone 14. Oh, is this me too? No, I guess it is. Oh wait, which one of us is this? This is me, isn't it, Lewis?
It's got to be Irfan.
Yeah. Okay. iPhone 14. What we know so far. Here we go. So iPhone 14 is getting some changes. iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max are going to be the 2 top tier models, and there's going to be no Mini anymore, which I'm sure many of you know. And it looks like there's going to be 2 models of the iPhone 14 that are basically the same size as the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max. They're just going to be, it seems like essentially the iPhone 13, like the same style, the same notch, the same everything. They'll probably toss in, to Lewis's point, they'll probably toss in some stuff. Like, they're going to give you a better camera, I would guess, Lewis.
Sure.
It's going to be maybe software improved. Like, they're going to unlock some software feature. But they're also, at least according to all the rumors, they're going to have the same A15 chip that the iPhone 13 does now. And it seems like I'm the only one that's bothered by that fact. Adam, you didn't seem like you were all that perturbed by that. Lewis, you didn't seem like you were cared about that at all. Adam, are you going to stick with your iPhone 13 Pro Max, or are you going to get the iPhone 14, whatever, when they come out with it?
If they improve the camera, I honestly don't care. I mean, I was fine with the camera on my 10R before I had the 13. I didn't really care. I'm not a camera guy. For me, the I'd say, honest to goodness, the thing that I really love the most about the Pro Max, and why I got the Max version, and it's something I still love to this day, is, while I'm a bigger guy, so having a bigger screen, that's cool, right? But the battery.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love the battery on the thing. I charge it by the end of the day of regular use. I'm still at 70%, or more, and I love that.
Jeez,
oh yeah,
it's not that good.
Great battery power on it. Yeah, it is for me. So I don't know. Maybe I have a better version than you. I don't know.
Well, you got the Canadian version. They make everything better in Canada, right?
We have that. Canadians are better with their batteries. What can I don't know. But yeah, no, I've got great battery life. And I love the 13. Hey, it depends on what features they come out with. Right?
Yeah, right.
If they have some cool new feature that I can, it makes me look more handsome when I take selfies or something. Cool. But otherwise, I don't know. I'm very happy with the 13, so we'll have to see.
The reason that I'm a big fan of upgrading every year and it is because I have young kids, and the camera has improved so much every year. I am willing to pay for the extra fidelity, for the 4K, for the Dolby Vision, for all that stuff that they add in there, because in 10 years, when I'm looking back at all my videos and photos of my kids and our family pictures, like, I'm not going to care how much my phone costs. I just want them to be the best that they can be. You know what I mean? So for me, like, that's why I'm willing to pay more. And as long as they have a significant improvement in camera quality, I would probably upgrade. Hopefully, Lewis, they have that big, beautiful Buster Heine bronze. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Did you remember that bronze color that was rumored out? Adam, did you see any pictures of, like, the bronze color?
I
that
did.
Were talking? Okay.
And I'm a big fan of that color too.
Me too.
That.
It was so beautiful. I was hoping that they would come out with something like that for the Pro models, because for the Pro models, they only have the same colors pretty much every year, and then they did Mom's Minivan Blue for iPhone 13, which I don't know if they released the what do they call it? The sky blue? I forget what But there is a Honda Odyssey minivan that is literally the same color as the phone.
Same color.
And so I couldn't do it, because I was like, this is Mom's minivan blue. You see that minivan all over the place.
No, it's Sierra Blue.
Sierra Blue. I think that's what Honda calls it too, to be honest with you.
Oh God.
So
that's
yeah. I don't want a phone that reminds me of a Mom's minivan. So I have a minivan.
Yeah.
I love minivans, to be honest with you, but I don't want my phone to remind me of a minivan. So, and here's the other big thing. So iPhone 14, iPhone 14 Max are the two lower end models, right? Same size as the iPhone 14 Pro, iPhone 14 Pro Max. But they're apparently going to be raising the price of all the phones $100, which is not insignificant. So an iPhone 14 Pro Max would cost you $11.99. These are American prices, or U.S. prices, I should say, Adam. So yours might even be more than this.
I'm doing that. I'm converting in my brain. Yeah. that equates to around $7,000.
$7,000 Canadian, right? And then we for the iPhone 14 Max, it's going to be, so for the non-Pro Max version, right, $899. Which actually, I bet a lot of people will go for that phone. I think Apple will sell a ton of that model because it's
put
bigger.
A good battery in it. Like, they put a comparable battery to the 13 Pro. I think that could be a good selling point.
Yeah. I think you're right. And then the iPhone 14 Pro is going to go from $999 to $1099, which is a big increase. And then the iPhone 14, so just the regular 6.1-inch iPhone 14, $799 up from $699. That's a big increase in price. And for those of us that buy our phones full price, that's kind of that's a high price to pay for a phone. What do you think about that, Adam?
It depends on the features. I think that if I don't know if the chip is really to me the chip isn't a selling point anymore because as everybody says, the iPads. They're just announcing now that apparently they're going to finally. The leaks are coming out that apparently there's going to be some OS, some Mac OS in iPads. It's been capable of doing that for, I don't know, 4 centuries. It's so overpowered at this point, and the software is so optimized, right? Working on Final Cut on a Mac, for instance, is ridiculous. It's amazing, regardless of the hardware. And the power of the phone, I don't do high-end gaming or video editing on my iPhone, so I don't care for that stuff. But if it's got really cool features, if it brings some new innovation into it that's really compelling, that might get me to pull the trigger. But if it's the same thing, pretty much, that already exists, I don't see a reason to, unless it's something superficial, like they come out with something that's not midnight blue, like a midnight black or some weird derpy color that they come out. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I think for me, my decision to purchase a new iPhone would be a feature thing. It wouldn't be a power thing. I don't care about the chip personally. I don't think it makes a difference at this point.
Yeah, they are definitely overpowered. I mean, the iPad especially, the power they put in there is just absurd. But actually, I forgot I was going to include this in this week's agenda of stories. Uh-oh. There was a story this week that Apple filed for a patent for a keyboard that would connect to the iPad. Did you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw the prototype for it. Yeah.
You saw it? Okay. Wow. Look at this. Adam's on it, man. He's following all this stuff. It's crazy. Yeah. So I mean, even this was kind of an obscure one, which is why I'm surprised. Like most people have heard like the higher level news, but like this is deep at the bottom of the barrel. And when you connect the keyboard, it converts the OS into like a Mac OS.
Power mode.
Yeah, exactly. Have I not been talking about this for an age?
That's freaking exciting. Yeah.
I mean, because
you predicted this?
No, I didn't predict it. I just said that I wanted it because the iPad was way too overpowered, and it's basically just like an oversized iPhone. I'm like, what's the point of all that power when you're using iOS apps? Doesn't make any sense.
You just get a MacBook if that's the case.
Exactly. But an iPad would be a great.
I didn't use my iPad as a result of it. It just collects stuff.
Yeah, same here. Mine. I bought the iPad Pro again, knowing it was way too overpowered. And I literally use it to watch Dr. Disrespect videos at night before I go to bed. Which, if you're not familiar with him, you should go check him out.
I know of him, yeah.
Oh, you do, because you said that you game. So I was like, oh, maybe he's familiar with. He's just the most aggressive, dominant Twitch. Well, he's not Twitch anymore. Video game streamer in practice today. I mean, he's not an actual doctor, but he is precise in his gameplay, and it looks like he went to school for 14 years to learn how he plays because he's just so good with the sniper gun. What?
Really? Is he disrespectful?
And he is very disrespectful at times, yeah. But he's so good. He has every right to be. It's like he
talks shit like a prize fighter. Like a professional fighter. He talks shit.
Yeah, he's like a WWF wrestler mixed with a video game streamer, and he's just everyone else is just like, hey, watch me play Minecraft, and he has a whole world that he's built, and his performance is way beyond anything that you see on YouTube or on Twitch. I mean, there's Dr. Disrespect, and then there's everyone else. Plus, he's a great dancer. And Adam, how tall are you? He's a huge guy too. He's like 6'7". You look like you're pretty close to that.
Are you Jesus, 6'7"? No, that's tall. No, I thought. Well, here's the thing. I thought about a year ago. I always kept telling people I was 6'3".
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I went to the doctor. He says, "No, you're 6'2". And I said, "No, I'm 6'3". He goes, "You telling me I'm a liar?" And he points to the thing, and I went, "Son of a bitch! I'm closer to 6'2" than 6'3". So yeah, I'm a twerp.
Well, you get smaller as you get older. Lewis used to be 6'4" as well.
Yeah, it was pretty shocking, the shrinkage.
No,
anyway.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all getting smaller. Unfortunately, that's the negative side effect of gravity.
Science, man.
What's that?
That's science. That's gravity.
Science. Yeah,
we're
exactly.
shrinking. Yeah.
That's exactly it. So there's your Apple or your iPhone 14 news. You're going to get 4 different models. You probably already knew that. You're going to get the iPhone 14 with nothing new, but yet a higher price. You probably heard us talk about that. But these are all of the marquee features all highlighted together here for you. And it probably won't matter to any of us because we all go at the Pro models anyway. But if you are planning on getting a cheaper iPhone, I think the iPhone 14 Max, if it's going to be, bigger but also cheaper, I think that a lot of people are going to love that option. Before we dive into our Paramount discussion here, Lewis, I thought we could at least mention this story with the new water bottles. You want to take it away? I feel like I've been talking this whole episode. I feel like you should probably do some talking.
Sure.
I just thought this was preposterous.
Yeah, it's funny. You were talking about mentioning this last week.
Yeah.
Because I think you first got wind of it, and then it pops up on Cult of Mac a couple days later. It's like, yeah, so now you can get smart water bottles. The Hydrate Spark Pro Steel smart water bottle, and it's a vacuum insulated 32-ounce water bottle. This is what I like. It's got two different kind of lids, one for chugging and one for straw.
Oh, I missed that.
Straw, if you want to use a straw. An LED puck in the base that lights up in customizable colors and patterns to remind you to drink water throughout the day.
Yeah.
And
Adam's exasperated.
It senses your water consumption and transmits data via Bluetooth to your phone and the Apple Health app. So it's HealthKit enabled. It keeps to be honest, I started thinking about this. This is maybe not the absolute worst idea because I woke up one day last week, I had such a headache, and it wasn't the COVID. It was like I realized I did not drink any water. It was kind of the COVID because I wasn't going outside of my room, right? Yeah, I was mostly isolating. But I realized I had a freaking headache, like I had drunk a bottle of whiskey the night before or something. It's just because I didn't drink any water. And I've noticed every now and then I just realize I'm not drinking enough water. And not too long after that, you know what happened? Kidney stones. So drinking water is a great thing to do. And I don't think it's the worst idea to have something that reminds you, hey, quit typing and get something to drink. Now, do you need to pay $80 for a Bluetooth connected? I don't know. It is a little nuts, but after that dry morning, I started going, geez, maybe I need one of these.
Okay, you took this in a completely different direction than I thought. I thought we were all going to just sit here and make fun of this damn thing.
Laugh at it.
It's just such a commentary on where we are as a culture that we need a bottle with RGB lighting at the bottom that's HomeKit connected that reminds you to take a sip of water. It's like, what's happened to us as a culture that this is something that we actually need now? It's like everything has to be smart this, Bluetooth connected. Remember the Bluetooth fork that was at CES that would like buzz if your bites are too big? I mean, I'm like,
oh, give me a break.
Exactly. What? How much more superfluous can it get? And that was what I thought when I saw this. I was like, are we really so inept as a culture that we can't even remember when to drink water now, and we need a bottle with RGB lighting? Now, look, no one's a bigger fan of RGB lighting than me, and that's actually one of the reasons why I would probably want to get something like this. And then it connects to HomeKit, and it will monitor
HealthKit. It's not HomeKit.
It's HomeKit, yeah.
Come on.
HealthKit, the smart right? means, it's probably connected to.
Is it HomeKit? Come on.
It's HomeKit. Yeah, it's HomeKit. Or I guess HealthKit. Yeah.
Have you had any water today, Lewis? Because are you feeling parched, Lewis?
If it worked with HomeKit, it could blink the lights in your house.
Well, maybe it can.
Maybe it does. Now you've made me want to figure it out. I can't believe that it's HomeKit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's probably HealthKit, and it connects with the Apple Health app, is what I was trying to say, and so it monitors how many swigs that you've had throughout the day. And to me, it just seems kind of superfluous. It's like, can we not remember to take a sip of water throughout the day? I have my pond water here that you guys often see me drinking. Yeah. This is my homemade probiotic water, Adam.
Jeez, you need to just
nice?
put some LED lights underneath that, so it lights up a different color other than that
stuff floating around in there.
Algae green. Oh my God!
Minerals.
It's minerals, exactly.
It looks a little.
I do have thoughts on this, though.
Okay,
I'm someone who is health conscious. Yeah. I have thoughts on this. Well, for one thing, I've had apps, for instance, that monitor water, make sure to drink water and stuff like that. Because I have an Apple Watch and I want something fun to do with it, right? So, and what I discovered is that there's actually a little bit of a risk in these apps, and it's actually not a joke. Funny enough, a lot of these products or apps that promote drinking water aren't taking into account your personal health. I mean, Lewis, you were just saying you went through kidney stones. That's not a joke, right?
No, yeah.
But
you don't
kidney
laugh through
stones.
kidney stones.
No, that's not a joke at all. It's horrible pain. You basically experienced childbirth, so congratulations on the new little one in your family.
I'm like so paranoid I'm gonna get one of those, and every time I hear you talk about it,
they're
Lewis,
the
it just
worst.
gives me PTSD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's a lot more to, well, for instance, number one is over drinking water is something that these apps do. And it was telling me you'd have to have like 5 liters of water a day. That's dangerous. You're depleting, you're rinsing yourself out too much.
Huh.
So you're depleting, you can very quickly get what's called hypovitaminosis. You're actually draining out all the minerals and vitamins from your body. Your body doesn't have a chance to absorb it. So that's too much water. So anybody who's big into health is going to tell you, drink when you're thirsty, but do drink. But don't have that 6 liters a day. That's preposterous. That's unhealthy drinking, right? So no, it's not good for your body to do that at all, to drink too much, but it is important to drink. The other thing too is, a kidney stone might be because maybe you're getting too much vitamin D. That causes your body to absorb too much calcium. If you're drinking too much milk, if you're getting kidney stones, try to avoid too much dairy and cheese, because that's where it's usually a calcium. Oh, there you go. Okay.
I'm not willing to make any life choices to avoid them. I mean, they're just yeah.
And if you're going to drink water, put some lemon in your water. Maybe Irfan has a point there with his pond water, because you put a little bit of lemon, that dissolves kidney stones.
Really?
Right?
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that, because after my first bout with one, I became very aware of how much water I was drinking, and I started putting lemon juice, squeezing a little bit of lemon in there.
Yep.
And I've stopped that recently. That's the thing. Like every time I realize, I haven't been drinking that much water, and it's like everything else. Oh geez, you stop paying attention, and then next thing you know, you pay a price.
Mother Nature's a very good teacher, isn't she?
Relentless.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, but yeah, if it's monitoring, if it's taking into account your body weight, your age, your current health, and it's monitoring it based off that, okay, maybe we've got something going. Maybe it'll help to regulate a good water intake. But if it's just telling you to drink every 5 minutes, I don't agree with that. I think that's sloppy technology, right?
Well, I don't know how these particular water bottles work. I mean, they certainly are expensive. I mean, this one is $80.
Yes, they are.
And I don't know I don't know how it informs you of your water intake, like what it's basing that off of. I mean, the fact that it has a chug top, maybe indicative of the science behind the bottle.
He comes out and goes, "Do it, do it,
chug, chug."
Come on, you wimp! What are you waiting for? Come on!
It wants you to drink like 8 bottles a day, but
It says it's clinically proven accuracy within 3% of manual readings through the Mayo Clinic trials.
Wow,
okay,
that's crazy. That's actually crazy.
You know what? I'm going to try and get a hold of one of these things.
Yeah, I'm coming full circle on this too.
Yeah,
but then what science is
used
used
from
to
the Mayo Clinic with a grain of salt? Sometimes it's not always the best advice. Sometimes it's a little bit outdated. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
prescribe a lot more mayonnaise than you should eat.
Yes, and I love mayonnaise too. So we're both guilty of that.
Give that up either.
Yeah, and we got Dipsy Doo in the chat saying, pretty sure it's supposed to be half your body weight is how many ounces you should drink. Well, see, that's the thing. It's like there's all these rules out there, and you're like, I don't know if this is true.
90 pounds of water a day. Good God.
Well, it'd be 90 ounces of water a day, right? So that would be it's an ounce. It's your half your body weight in ounces every day.
In ounces. Okay, yeah.
There's
pounds of water.
I don't know if you guys ever used. I know I've talked about this on the show before. There's an app called Lose It, and you use it to count how much. How much? It has a water tracking capability in it, which I bet you can plug this thing into it, and that'll just get automatically filled, so you don't have to I never keep track of how much water I drink because I don't know. It just
you don't have an
silly.
$8 water bottle, right?
Exactly. Well, it is kind of fun sometimes to use these things to get a what we're always talking about with Apple Watch is that it doesn't necessarily it's not a medical device, but what it does is it says, hey, you perhaps ought to do this.
Yeah.
This particular lifestyle change might make you a little healthier. I mean, I mentioned I've had the COVID for a couple of weeks, right? So I wasn't exercising. I stand in the house more than usual. I got a little notification the other day. It says, "Hey, we've noticed a trend. You're not walking as much as normal."
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is pretty powerful, and it made me immediately go, "Yeah, that's absolutely right. I gotta, like, if I'm not exercising, I need to at least walk up to the corner store rather than driving once." And so I don't know. I
And
find that
infect
stuff to be
everyone?
Huh?
And
What?
infect your whole neighborhood?
Well, okay, maybe not the store. I'm clear now. I'm clear.
I don't know. Take a
I'm
couple
doing
more.
this for my health.
My Apple Watch told me I need to come in here and walk.
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you what you're saying about the Lose It app. I mean, I was somebody who was always into fitness, and I ate healthy, in quotes. I never ever counted a calorie in my life.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, one of my friends, Tyler, a fellow artist, he'd said, "No, I'm using this app," and he was in super good shape.
Huh.
I was like, "What the hell happened to you?" He's like, "Ripped," right? So what the hell did you do? And he goes, "Oh, I just started using this calorie app." And I went, "Okay." And what's cool about these apps, and what could potentially be interesting about this LED, this Corsair IQ water bottle, right?
Mystic light support, yeah.
It's making you conscious. You're aware of what you do, because when you're not paying attention, you'll have a sandwich with 6 tablespoons of mayonnaise, not realizing you just consumed 9,000 calories.
Yeah.
Because mayonnaise is high in calories. So I went, "Oh my God, I put mayonnaise in everything." I'm sitting there, "Why am I getting so plumpy?" And I'm sitting there, scooping mayonnaise down my throat. So you kind of become more aware of your actions. My girlfriend's laughing at me.
Exactly.
You become more aware of your actions. You become more conscious of your water consumption and that kind of stuff. Right.
And
And that's
realize, like, oh, geez, I'm not even close to how much I really ought to be drinking every day.
Yeah.
Water-wise, or geez, what I always found with Lose It, it's like what you're saying. It's very educational kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you like realize, wow, just having like one extra piece of bread with my dinner is like, that you would have to work out for 2 hours to burn that off.
Oh,
and
dude,
you're like, wow, that's interesting. And I mean, I lost a lot of weight with that thing.
It does work.
It
Absolutely.
actually it trains you to make better choices.
Yeah.
Is what it does. If you pay attention.
I even stopped using it at a certain point, but I kept being aware of the calorie content of what I was eating.
Exactly.
Right. So it educated me on what I was actually what actually calories I was putting in my body at that point. And I mean, I've gone on and off of it, depending on how much I start to kind of slip at a certain point. Yeah, no, I think it's a smart move for sure. Yeah.
The Apple Watch has become an integral part of my life, and one of the things I love about it is the fact that it knows how many calories that I've burned during my workouts, right? And it does really make you aware, like when you've just spent an hour working out and it was a tough workout and you're like, I only burned like 400 calories. And then you look at the food that you're eating. I mean, you can make up 400 calories in 15 minutes. I mean,
one May
minutes.
West, you're done.
Yeah.
One Joe Louis, good to go.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you eat mayonnaise out of the jar like Adam does, that's like 3 or 4 minutes of calorie intake.
This stuff. I bathe in it. I'm like a fish. I consume it through my gills and I excrete it at the back. Yeah, and I just use that to propel myself through the ocean of mayonnaise. Yeah.
You are a mayonnaise fan. That's the
savage.
most extreme mayonnaise fandom I've heard of. To be honest with you,
I'd be dead if I did that. But
it's also very expensive. I mean, to fill your whole bathtub with mayonnaise, I heard the Rolling Stones used to do that for their parties, and they spent thousands of dollars on that. Anyway.
Oh yeah, they don't mess around.
All right, let's wrap up with our water bottle talk. I was expecting us to clown on this, and now you guys have convinced me that maybe I should be purchasing one of these. Yeah, and it tells you within 3% of of how much your water you're actually intaking. Look at that. It has it has an Apple Watch app as well. The crazy thing is this dang water bottle was like one of the most popular stories on Reddit this week and last week.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this is crazy. Like, do people actually get excited about a bottle like this? Because it just seems completely unnecessary to me. Anyway, I digress. We're going on and on. The story's over. I'm kicking it. Let's wrap up with this, Lewis. Paramount Plus has announced they have nearly 40 million subscribers. Now, the reason that this was surprising to me is because I didn't even know that. I didn't know how long Paramount Plus has been around, and I didn't know anyone was using it. It's like kind of like this obscure little service, and the only reason I signed up for it is because they have been having tons of free trials. And unlike other services, even Apple, they just keep extending the trial. So you'll use the service. They had a 3-month free trial, which I signed up for. And then I was like, yeah, there's not really a whole lot here that would keep me here. And so I canceled it, and they said, oh, wait, if you want, we'll give you another 2 months for $3. And I was like, oh, shoot, like, it's definitely worth $3. And then I canceled that, and they said, oh, do you want another month for free? It's like they just keep giving it to me for free.
They don't want you to go, yeah.
Yeah, and when they say that they have they've added 6.8 million subscribers last quarter, I kind of wonder how many of these people are actually paying.
Active?
Yeah, or actually paying them for the service, because you're part of the service, right? Because you've signed up, you've given them your credit card number, but you're not actually paying for anything yet. But I thought this was interesting because we have all of these streaming services now. We have obviously Netflix, we have Apple TV Plus, now we have Paramount Plus, and what I noticed is Paramount Plus pulled all of their content from all the other services. I used to watch Star Trek: The Next Generation, which is one of the best shows of all time. And it was on Netflix forever, and then all of a sudden, it wasn't. And they moved all of the Star Trek episodes to Paramount Plus. So now if you want to watch Star Trek, you either have to buy it or you have to subscribe to Paramount Plus. They have the new Star Trek series. They actually have the surprising thing is the Paramount Plus app sucks. It needs to be completely rewritten. Not a great experience at all. But they have a huge library. I had no idea. They've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of movies and shows. I mean, you can just sit there and scroll through. My wife hates this. Whenever I go to a new streaming service, I will literally just sit there for like 30 minutes and scroll through their entire library just to see what they have. And Paramount has a lot of stuff. They also have a ton of older movies, like tons of Westerns and stuff. So they have a pretty big library.
Yeah, time, yeah.
And they've got the new Halo series. They got the new Picard series, which Lewis was saying was not great enough to keep him there. They've got the Star Trek Discovery, and as a huge Star Trek fan, I'm like, that's kind of appealing, like all the new Star Trek stuff, even though I haven't watched it because I heard it was awful. But it's interesting because we have all of these subscriptions now, right? And I know I was mentioning this to you earlier, Adam. It's like, what do you think about all this? We have Netflix now. If you want Netflix content, you got to go to Netflix. If you want AT&T content, or Warner Brothers, I should say, you have to go to HBO. Now, you want to watch Star Trek? Better go get a Paramount Plus subscription. And we have all these like individual silos now where they're all pulling their content off of all the other platforms, and now you have to purchase their platform if you want to watch it. Like, are you subscribed to any of these services? What do you think about all this?
Well, I'm subscribed to Apple Plus, right?
Yep.
But I don't use it for their exclusive content. I'm not into the shows. It's just they're not my personal. They're not pulling me in yet. But I purchase movies on Apple TV all the time, on my Apple subscription all the time. And I have Disney Plus for my kids.
Yep.
And I have Netflix. And I will occasionally subscribe to a random app temporarily if there's a movie that I can only access in a certain place. But how do I feel about that? At the beginning, I'm sitting there going, oh boy, here it comes. You know, it's now they're inflating the market with all of these different apps. There's pros and cons. I think that, it could get a little bit out of hand. They might have, it's just like you end up paying for 20 different services. But different studios kind of have their own brand of films very often. And I actually don't mind the fact that I know if my kids go on Disney Plus, they're getting access to this certain type of content that they don't have to, it's already curated for them to a certain degree. And there's already a certain set quality to it. And Paramount have a selection of films that might cater to a certain demographic, a certain age group, in which case there's a much higher likelihood that demographic is going to appreciate that content, right? And they don't have to do the whole Netflix thing where you sit there, like you said, and scroll for half an hour looking to see finally find something that I guess we can watch that. Movie night on Netflix with every Friday night, my girlfriend makes her homemade pizza, which is amazing. Everybody loves Fridays for that. And then one of the kids gets to choose the movie for that night. And if it's Netflix, we're done dinner before they pick a movie.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Same here.
And this happens every week, right?
Yeah.
Nobody can settle on a bloody movie to watch. And that's because it's kind of it's kind of a potpourri of everything, which makes it a little bit watered down and hard to find anything good. And that's been the trend of Netflix ever since its inception. It's just that you can spend forever looking for something to watch. where maybe with the Paramount app, maybe it's a little bit more exclusive, a little bit more curated. So I don't know.
Well, it depends on what you're into. Like you say, I mean, like if you like Star Trek stuff. So I love pretty much all things Star Trek, and Next Generation is like some of the most beloved content that's out there to me. Although, as I was mentioning before, Apple just had a sale on the entire series of Next Generation, so I got it for $30, which is crazy because I don't know if you all have tried to buy Next Generation, like the entire series. You could get it on a DVD set. It's like $150. It's really expensive, right? So being able to watch it, especially because it was pulled from Netflix, and so now people are like, oh, they don't think it exists anymore, but they don't know that it's sitting on Paramount Plus. So I've been enjoying Paramount Plus for that reason. Funny enough, they have a lot of older content, just like Disney Plus. Like a lot of the stuff that I end up watching is like older stuff, even though they have some new shows, like all the Marvel stuff, obviously, and stuff that I like too. But like the value of the Disney catalog is like their massive back library, and that's one of the things I didn't realize about Paramount Plus that they have as well, is they have tons and tons and tons of movies that I remember watching years ago. Like I really wanted to watch Interstellar, right? Yeah. And I couldn't find it anywhere. Paramount Plus has it. It must be a Paramount movie. I didn't realize that, right? And it's funny that you should talk about Netflix, about like the infinite scroll, because that's exactly what happens to me. I feel like every time I go to watch something on Netflix, I spend my entire dinner just scrolling through, waiting to find something, and then I end up just leaving Netflix and going to watch HBO Max or something, which I think might be my favorite streaming service right now. Lewis, favorite streaming service right now?
I can pick one, man. Watch everything all the time.
Yeah. Are you watching Apple TV Plus the most now?
I wouldn't say the most, but they've definitely got some shows I'm watching these days. I mean, just started watching Shining Girls, which is their latest, hit. I mean, this is one of the things that is kind of interesting about the whole Apple TV Plus thing. They've actually, in the past, 6 months or whatever, they've actually had some hits.
Yeah.
They're showing up in the top 10 of all things streaming online. A show that just finished called Severance, which I'm just waiting for a good time to watch that. I mean, I've heard great things about that. I can't wait to watch it. That's been in the top 10 for the past month or whatever.
Yeah.
Or 2 months. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure the time frame, but it's weird because I mean, Apple TV Plus started out, it was just kind of a joke, right? It's free. Here's all this, weird mishmash of stuff. But what they've slowly been building out all these categories of entertainment. And I mean, yeah, it's still nowhere near the back catalog of like a TV studio like CBS that is on Paramount or whatever, ABC on Disney. But, they just keep adding. They just keep adding. And the thing that's cool about it now is the thing that I really dislike the most about Apple TV Plus is the way they drip stuff out like old school TV. One episode a week. That drives me batty.
Got to keep you there.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I understand why they do it, but I just don't like it. It's very hard. It's so easy to get sidetracked, right? Like in the week that goes by, it's like, oh, some other series that you start watching, and then you watch all that, and next thing you know, you can't even remember what happened, which is a problem of mine anyway. But they've got some good stuff. And by the way, you mentioned kids programming. They got a lot of kids programming.
Really?
They got
I've never even checked.
Yeah,
they've got a lot of it. And they've got a bunch of nature documentaries and stuff. There's one show that I've mentioned to on the show before. It's called Tiny World. It's unbelievably great.
Mm-hmm.
That is like the most amazing stuff I've seen. And I mean, all those. Anytime I watch a nature documentary, I'm kind of this is awesome. But
me too. I'm addicted to it. Yeah.
Amazing. They got a new one coming out pretty soon called Prehistoric Planet that is about dinosaurs and supposedly like people in watching the trailers for Cult of Mac and writing about it and saying, wow, this is really awesome and really it does look pretty cool. Yeah, they're saying, well, it blows away like Jurassic Park's sort of
I said the
dinosaur
graphics look kind of I don't know if I saw the right trailer, but the graphics looked very dated to me.
Yeah,
I don't know if I saw the right thing. The graphics look kind of like old school dinosaur graphics. I don't know.
Oh, really?
I saw one that had dinosaurs with like
example that
maybe ILM was busy for that
neck
during that season. Yeah.
Kind of odd, but I don't know. I think that thing comes out like next month or something. But it's they're making they're trying to make a big splash with it. They're having like a dinosaur week or something. They're going to release it. I think it's the first week of June. But yeah, I mean, honestly, if you've already got Apple TV Plus subscription, check it out. I don't know. I mean, I don't watch the kids stuff, but I know they have a lot of kids shows, and they've got, all the Peanut specials and new Peanut specials and
Peanuts,
Jim Henson stuff. I mean,
yeah, I love.
I don't know. The Peanut stuff might be too.
I just feel like it's just so funny. It's like
weird for
Tim
kids
Cook
these days.
added in like the shows that he liked when he was a kid. Because like, who watches Peanuts? Like that show used to be really popular, but kids don't watch Peanuts these days. And
It's way too slow, right? Like
I don't
Charlie
know.
Brown, the
I
whole
don't know. I
thing's probably
mean,
way
it's
too slow for
literally been
kids.
so long since. I mean, even Peanuts was even kind of old school when I was a kid, right? And they're still trying to push it. But the one thing I
they're
want,
coming out with new ones too.
they're coming out with new episodes of Peanuts.
Oh yeah.
No, but I don't. I've got a cartoon background. Don't even talk about new versions of old shows, like the new Looney Tunes. I watch that stuff and I feel violent. I get violently angry. I go, this is such garbage, right? The new stuff is usually horrible. I prefer the old stuff 1,000%.
That's how I feel about Star Trek. Honestly, it's like, we could do a whole episode just on that. Yeah, it's like, it's very difficult.
We just got the ball rolling with.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. It's very difficult to remake the magic. And when you have something that's truly special, the cast is right, the crew is right, the writers are good, and then you try to recreate that, it's very hard to do. So the one thing I wanted to mention before we wrap up here, because we've been going for 6.5 hours at this point, is I mentioned ILM, Industrial Light and Magic. I mean, talk about a cool business name, man. Like, that's like one of the coolest ever. And
based in Montreal, by the way, where I am.
What's that? Oh, they are?
They're based in my hometown from Montreal.
Oh, I didn't know
ILM
that.
From here.
I thought that they were based in San Francisco.
They are now.
That's
but
Lucasfilm, I guess.
Originated here in Montreal.
I did not know that. Wow. I mean, when you look at how prevalent they are even now across all of cinema and shows and stuff, they're so ubiquitous, and their work is so much better than I feel like anyone else's. I saw this documentary on Star Trek, I think 5, The Final Frontier, and the guy was talking about the special effects and how they weren't great, and he was like, the reason they weren't as great as they were in previous Star Treks is because ILM was working on a different project, so they couldn't get them to work on this specific movie, and it shows because the special effects aren't as good. And when you see like CGI and stuff with ILM quality, and then you see other CGI, you really notice a difference. And there's been a leap in advancement with like CGI. I don't know if you guys watched The Mandalorian or you watched the Boba Fett shows on Disney Plus. I won't spoil anything here, but there were some CGI scenes that looked really bad in The Mandalorian, and they were cool because it was like a nostalgic moment, but they still didn't look great. And then in the Book of Boba Fett, the new show, they had a similar scene, and it was like one of the most incredible CGI scenes I'd ever seen. And I looked into it. There was this guy on YouTube that was really adept at deep fake technology. So he would take pictures, movies, and recreate CGI based on the way those people looked in the past in films and pictures and stuff. And he was so good that there was a rumor that Industrial Light and Magic hired him. And turns out that's actually the case. And I don't know what this guy did for them, but there were some reprisals, some character reprisals in some of these shows, and the difference in quality was staggering. Like, it looked like a real person was there, even though it was completely CGI. Like, do you remember like when they showed like young scenes of Princess Leia and like the old Star Wars movies, and they kind of looked fake? It was like that, except it looked like her. It looked like the young version of her. It was incredible. I kept turning my wife. I'm like, do you see how amazing this is? Like, this is the biggest leap in CGI investment that I have ever probably noticed in my lifetime. And it was all because this YouTuber was really adept at CGI using deepfake technology, which I don't know if you ever follow any like deepfake channels, but they use machine
I was just
learning.
watching some today. Actually.
I mean, it's actually really scary what they're able to do now, because they can create videos that look so real, but they're completely fake, and they'll have like politicians and like famous people saying things that they didn't actually ever say. and
Yeah.
it's all just deep fake technology.
Crazy.
It's actually really, really spooky. But anyway,
Yeah.
I think we should go
That's
ahead.
the fact
go
of using deep fake
Yeah.
to recreate like bring back old classics. I would love to see them redo Tron with that, because when I saw their updated CGI version of Flynn, because I grew up, Tron was a childhood movie for me. That was a monumental movie when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I knew those characters well, and then you see Flynn's face, and he goes, "I love you too, son." And I went, "Oh God, no! Wow, wow!
I know.
Why did they
so
have
bad.
to do that?" It ruined the movie for me. And from that, every single time you'd see him on screen, I'd sit there going, "Oh man, really? It's so bad. It's just like cut and pasting a plastic face. Looked like he had too much plastic surgery or something like
know.
that." It's perfect. I was just you were talking about it. I was watching all the Bill Hader videos where he's doing impressions like Tom Cruise and Al Pacino.
I saw those.
That they blended in smoothly.
Yep.
And I went, "Wow,
yeah,
that's so convincing." Yeah.
I should send you some of this guy's videos, Adam, so you can check it out. As an artist, you might appreciate these, and just because I mean the artistry that has to go into this. Except he's using machine learning to rebuild these scenes using a computer generated face drawn from AI technology. It's like really it's really amazing, and I think this is going to be the future. And Disney Plus and ILM, I mean, they're going to be way ahead of everyone else now. I mean, they were already far ahead, but now they're able to recreate like the young faces of old actors and make them look like they're actually there acting. It's really incredible. Look,
I think that's a perfect use for that technology. Yeah,
I do too. Way better than causing civil wars by making politicians seem to say things in videos that they didn't actually say. Which is like the other use for it. Guys, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. We got to turn the music on because we've been going for an hour and 36 minutes, and we could keep going. I know, but we've been going so long, I'm like, we got to save some for next time. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. Adam, it was really great having you on. Thank you for joining us. I loved hearing your insights on the variety of topics that we talked on, but especially the studio display. If you want to follow your work, where can they find you?
You can find me. You can check out my YouTube channel, Lucid Pixel, spelled with Pixul, because Pixel was taken with an E. And you can go and check out. You can leave a link or something like that.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes for sure. Yeah, it was great to have you on. I'd love to have you come back on in the future. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up there, guys. That's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. If you want to say hi to me or Lewis, I mean, we're also online. We're on Twitter. The new Twitter. We're there. We're there duking it out on the new Twitter. I'm at Airfon ERFWin. Lewis is at Lewis Walls. This has been the CultCast, the best 30 plus minute app conversation you're going to hear all week long. New episodes of the CultCast come out every Thursday night. I want to thank everyone for listening, and we'll see you guys next time. And this is the part of the show where we just sit here and have pointless banter until the music finishes. It's basically just vamping, I try to say something funny. Catch your breath. Have a drink of water.
A lot of water. It was
my watch is buzzing. I gotta have a drink of water, guys. 1 second here.
I don't have an LED bulb, so I'm gonna have to dehydrate it first.
Adam doesn't have LEDs on his bottle, so he hasn't drank anything that day. Because how else would you know? If only there was a way to know when you were needing liquid intake. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's a new technology. It's called Thirst. Right?
Thirst.
It works.
TM.
Yeah.
Integrates with Health Kit. All right, everyone. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you guys